What's up everybody, back with another Honkai Star video. In this video we are going to talk about should you summon for Dr. Ratio. Well, not really. We're actually doing a should you summon for Dupes of Dr. Ratio because you actually get him for free when his banner drops. And it's going to drop in the next couple days. So big W there. I'm still going to go over the characters details as always, but we're going to have more emphasis on the dupes. And of course, his light cone information is out, so I will do a follow-up video. I'll probably go live like an hour or two after this one, just because YouTube isn't a huge fan of dropping two videos right next to each other. So I'll wait a little bit, but if you want to get that video, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on it. It's probably the most important character to have a should you summon for the light cone, because you're just getting them for free. You might as well get their, what I think is probably going to be the best in slot for them. But other than that, let's jump into it. And of course, as always, not a huge fan of the site. It doesn't show percentages, so we are going to use this one right here. Man, oh man, I'm actually kind of excited because I don't sub for this character, so his kit's like way more interesting for me. Let me know in the comments if you were originally going to summon for Dr. Ratio or not. And of course, let's get into what he actually does. Now, Dr. Ratio is a 5-star imaginary hunt character, and he is a follow-up attack user. So if you have Topaz, this character is going to be a big W for you. Or if you're just a fan of follow-up attacks, that works too, right? Now, his skills are basic attack, dealing 100% of his attack to a single target. His skill is 150 of his attack to a single target, and that's it, unfortunately. Well, where it gets crazy is his ultimate and his talent. So his ultimate deals imaginary damage equal to 240 of his attack to a single target and applies Wise Man's Folly. When Dr. Ratio allies attacks a target affected with Wise Man's Folly, Dr. Ratio launches his talent's follow-up attack for one time against the target. So it just activates it once. Wise Man's Follies can be triggered up to 2 times and only affects the most recent target of Dr. Ratio's ultimate. This trigger count resets after you use the ultimate. So pretty much what that means is you ult somebody, and whenever your allies attack the person you ulted, you will follow up attack twice, guaranteed. Very big W. Now, let's go over his talent, which is going to be his hardest hitting skill. I guess I shouldn't say skill, the attack that does the most damage. When using his skill, Dr. Ratio has a 40% fixed chance of launching a follow-up attack against his target for one time, dealing imaginary damage equal to 270, which is 30% more than his ultimate. For each debuff the target enemy has, the fixed chance of launching follow-up attack increased by 20%, meaning if you have 3 debuffs, it is a 100% chance to do a follow-up attack. If the target enemy is defeated before the follow-up attack triggers, the follow-up attack will be directed at a single random enemy instead. And from what I've seen from me testing him in other gameplay, it goes off of who you skill. So if you skill somebody with 3 debuffs and it's a 100% base chance, it will 100% be a follow-up attack even if you kill with the skill. It does not go, oh hey, you killed and the other enemy has no debuff, so you only have like 40% chance, right? It's based off of who you skill initially. And one thing I will say, it does kind of suck that he can't get it off a basic attack. He'd be a little more broken because he'd be SP positive and still have the brute of his attack strength coming from his talent. But, you know, show him a little love. That would be cool, but it's fine. The skill, perfectly fine. The skill and the follow-up attack activating are a lot of damage. He is a really good DPS. Now let's go over his technique before we get to his traces. His technique, which is really cool, it makes like a almost said porcelain. I don't know the material, but it's like those marble sculptures. That's what they are. And he has different poses. Like there's a Jotaro pose, and then there's 2 poses that are famous statues. So very cool little like nod. But anyway, he creates one that lasts for 10 seconds like a taunt. After entering battle with enemies in the special dimension, there's a 100% base chance to reduce each single enemy's target speed by 50% for 2 turns. And then only one dimension can be created at once. Big W though, because that also counts for a debuff, so you start the fight with 1 debuff already. Now let's get into his bonus traces, which are when dealing damage to a target with 3 or more debuffs. For each debuff the target has, the damage dealt by Dr. Ratio to this target increases by 10%, up to a maximum increase of 50. So what that means is if you have 3 debuffs, you're getting the 100% chance to do a follow-up attack, and you're doing 30% more damage, and if you have 2 more, you get the additional 20%, so it's 50. Most of the time, you're really just going to be shooting for 3 debuffs, but having more debuffs gives more damage, so that's really nice. Then we have this next one, which is when a skill is used to attack an enemy target, there's a 100% base chance to reduce the attack target's effect resistance by 10% for 2 turns. This is huge because, 1, it counts as a debuff, right? So Dr. Ratio can apply 1 himself, and it also lets it to be more likely that you're going to inflict a debuff because it lowers their effect res. So 2 W's in 1. Then his last one, which Dr. Ratio uses as a skill. For every debuff on the target, his crit rate and crit damage increase by 2.5 and 5. This effect can stack up to 6 times. And from what I've been told, this is a permanent thing. So once you hit the 6 stacks, you are good to go. This will increase your crit rate by 15% and your crit damage by 30%. Which is pretty nice because you're going to want the follow-up attack planet ornament set, and that has a crit rate threshold you need to hit. So if you're a little bit off, this can actually help you reach it through, attacking enemies with debuffs. And then to make it even easier, he has 28% attack, 12% crit rate, and 12.5% defense. Defense is kind of stinky, but the crit rate is welcome because you might be able to actually build him with a crit damage chest piece and just go for crit rate rolls. That'll be probably his max damage output. I'll probably do a how to build him, like what stats you want once he's actually out, like what I recommend after using him. But we'll get to that when we get to that, right? And now, the moment you all been waiting for, the dupes, the most important part of this video, which is normally not true. So, of course, Dupes 5 and 3 just boosts his ult, basic skill, and talent, so I won't be going over those, really, because those are weird dupes to go for. You should never go for those dupes. But the first one, which is going to be the one most people go for, is the maximum stack will count for summation is increased by 4. When a battle begins, immediately obtain 4 stacks of summonation. Needs to unlock summonation first, obviously, to trigger, so if you just don't have the trace unlocked, this doesn't really work out. But this increases his summonation by 4. Right? So you are able to get it to go to 10, which will give you 25 crit rate and 50 crit damage. That is pretty nice, right? And you will always start with 4, meaning you will instantly spawn in with 20% crit damage and 10% crit rate. So big W there. How much crit rate do you actually get? You get 12, and then if you have the 10, you will get 37% crit rate. Yeah, no, if you go for the E1, which the E1 is actually really good, you just build a crit rate chest piece because your crit rate is pretty much almost dealt with right then and there. Then his second one is when his talent's follow-up attack hits a target. For every debuff the target has, additionally deals imaginary additional damage equal to 20% of Dr. Ratio's attack. This effect can be triggered for a maximum of 4 times during each follow-up attack. Overall, pretty nice, just boosts his damage for his follow-up attack. Then the fourth dupe is when triggering the talent additionally regenerates 15 energy. And then the last one at max is additionally increases the trigger count of Wiseman's Folly by 1. The damage dealt by the talent's follow-up attack increases by 50%. Now, personally, I think this one is really, really good, but it's also the last dupe, so it's not really feasible to go for. Overall, I think his E1 is really, really good. Helps you with reaching crit rate thresholds, so that is a big W. It also instantly giving you 4 stacks is super, super nice. It's in no requirement, just boom, you have 4 stacks already. Overall, Dr. Ratio is going to be good regardless of going for dupes, but if you wanted to summon for him initially, I think his E1 is going to be very, very strong. You don't need it though. Like I said, if you don't want to summon, you can definitely save for other characters. Maybe if you really like Dr. Ratio, you can save for Topaz's rerun and then go for her. Do note you also need debuffers built. Like if you only have buffers like Bronya built, you're gonna have a bit of a tough time with Dr. Ratio, so definitely keep that in mind. But that'll be it for the video. Let me know if you are going to summon for Dr. Ratio or not. Unfortunately for me, I probably won't summon for him or his light cone, so I'm rocking the E0 S0 Dr. Ratio build. But of course, don't forget to check out my video on his light cone to see if you should go for light cone or the E1. But if you do go for the E1, it is very, very, very strong. But it's not a must. It's not a must. You can definitely get by and do good damage with just his normal kit. Other than that, thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next Honkai Star Rail video.